Today I have something that I've been working on, and I'm going to explain archetypes and astrology. And it's two things that I absolutely adore and love, and archetypes via Carl Jung. And it's been quite interesting to look at, and now I'm going to explain how archetypes work in astrology and what archetypes mean also, which will be really useful for people out there who don't understand what astrology is in reality, particularly evolutionary astrology. So here goes. We have the first slide, and this is to do with Carl Jung. You can see him there, and it's a beautiful picture. I love his white suits that he wore in many pictures that I've seen. What we've got is archetypes are a concept introduced by the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, who believed that archetypes were models of people, behaviors, or personalities. Archetypes, he suggested, were inborn tendencies that play a role in influencing human behavior. Jung believed that the human psyche was composed of three components: the ego, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. And Jung believed the ego represents the conscious mind, while the personal unconscious contains memories, including those that have been suppressed. Next slide. An archetype, a very typical example, is of a certain person or thing. An archetype, also known as a universal symbol, and it may be a character, a theme, a symbol, or even a setting. Many literary critics are of the opinion that archetypes which have a common and reoccurring representation in a particular human culture or entire human race shape the structure and foundation of literary work. The concept of an archetype appears in areas relating to behavior, historical, psychological theory, and literary analysis. An archetype can be a statement, pattern of behavior, or prototype with other statements, patterns of behavior, and objects copy or emulate. In literature, an archetype is a typical character, an action, or a situation that seems to represent universal patterns of human nature. An archetype, also known as a universal symbol, can be a character, a theme, a symbol, and even a setting, which we've already said, but it's good to repeat to understand what we're looking at. In Jungian theory, archetypes are primitive mental images inherited from our early human ancestors. So there you go. We can go on to the next slide. So here we have the tree of life, and this beautiful picture I got from Wiki, and you can see the artist below and what this picture dates back to. We've got the collective unconscious is a term coined by Carl Jung, and it refers to the structures of the unconscious mind which are shared among beings of the same species, which is human beings, clearly. According to Jung, the human collective unconscious is populated by instincts and by archetypes. So universal symbols such as the Great Mother, the Wise Old Man, the Shadow, the Tower, water, the Tree of Life, and many more. The Tree of Life is a widespread myth or archetypal in the world's mythologies related to the concept of the sacred tree more generally, and hence in religious and philosophical tradition. And what does the Tree of Life symbolize? So in this way, the Tree of Life is a symbol of a fresh start on life, positive energy, good health, and a bright future. As a symbol of immortality, a tree grows old, yet it bears seeds that contain its very essence. And in this way, the tree becomes immortal as a symbol of growth and strength. So if you think about a tree, it's a seed. Wherever did the seed come from? The first seed, whoever knows. And then a tree grows, and then it sheds its leaves every year. And then it is nourishing the earth, and then through those nutrients, it is able to grow more, and through water and sunshine. So it's a very powerful symbol, the Tree of Life, and that also that it never leaves. It's infinite in itself because of what it gives back to the earth, and then what it needs to keep nurturing itself. So it's a cycle. It's a beautiful cycle. So then we have the next slide. So the psyche is one's total personality. It's consciousness, personal unconscious, collective unconscious. And the same archetype can be of a high frequency vibration and a lower frequency being the shadow. And archetypes are a complex of experiences that come up upon us like fate. So an interesting one is The Wizard of Oz, the movie The Wizard of Oz. You've got the Wicked Witch, I think it was, can't remember the East or the West, but then you have Glinda, who's the beautiful witch in the, or fairy godmother, but witch-like and magical. And we have a similar thing there, that we have the high frequency vibration of an archetype and the lower frequency being the shadow of that archetype. So the shadow is, the lower vibration. So then the next slide is here. We have the archetypes that Jung referred to often, the ruler, creator, artist, sage, innocent, explorer, rebel, hero, wizard, jester, everyman, lover, and caregiver. And there are thousands of, hundreds of archetypes, hundreds. And the more we look, the more we can see where they are. Like if we take, for instance, like the wizard, like me just speaking about the Wizard of Oz, but there are many literary works on wizards. And then we have the hero, which is another one. If I mention the word hero, we're all going to hold something in mind that refers to that. Then we have next slide, which is, I love this picture. This is a picture of a fish, and a fish is an archetype in literary work and in the Bible and many places. It has meaning. And the concept of an archetype appears in areas relating to behavior, historical, psychological theory, and literary analysis. An archetype can be a statement, pattern of behavior, or prototype, which other statements, patterns of behavior, and objects copy or emulate. And one I picked up here was Rambo, American Adam, the anarchist, an archetypal frontier of being a hero. We've got a fish symbolizes fertility, feelings, creativity, rebirth, good luck, transformation, health, abundance, serenity, intelligence, happiness, strength, and endurance. Connecting us with the water element, it represents the deeper awareness of the unconsciousness or higher self. So next slide, we will go to here. And here we have, I'm going to explain evolutionary astrology a little bit so you understand astrology and the archetypes. Get my laser here. So this EA stands for evolutionary astrology, and we now understand what archetypes are somewhat. And we've got the signs here, which we have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So 12 houses. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we have, for instance, so the houses also, the house is an archetype. It's a pattern. It's a way of being and in reference to something. So then we have the rulers, which are here, you can see. So Aries, the ruler of Aries is Mars, the ruler of Taurus is Venus, and the ruler of Gemini is Mercury. And they're archetypes. So if this makes sense, I'm sure it does at this point. So all of these mean something. And we have, as I said, an example of evolutionary astrology, Jeff Wolf Green, and astrology symbols, archetypes. In astrology, each sign and ruler and house is an archetype. An example of a ruler, for instance, is that Uranus, one of its meanings is it fractures and liberates and rules, and it rules Aquarius. And Aquarius keywords are liberation from conditioning, alienation, trauma, Prometheus, individuality, hopes, ideals, mass trauma, revolutionary, individuation, long-term memory, splitting, ostracized, rebellion, anarchist, unique, cast out, like-minded groups, tribe, shocking, astral plane, group hysteria, community, projection, telepathic, secret societies, fragmentation, hyperactivity, and objective awareness. And each house defines an area of life. The first house, I made this error there, but the first house is to do with self. The second house is to do with needs and what we value. And the third house is to do with communication. And I would even go as far as saying that the planets, as I've said, and the degrees have patterns, and again, are archetypes. So I hope that was useful to know this stuff, because astrology is a very beautiful tool to help us to evolve, and has been, you know, for, we don't know how long, but for many, many, many years, many. The next slide. Now, so I'm going to explain, if we go back to that fish, and I'm now going to explain what it means in astrology based on what Jeff Wolf-Green of Evolutionary Astrology says, and the glossary you can see here. We have Pisces, Neptune, 12th house archetype. So in mutable water, 12th house ruler is Neptune. Pisces represents consciousness itself. Consciousness is like water. It has no form. It takes the form of whatever form is contained within it. Our perceptions of reality are conditioned through the form the consciousness is in. God permeates all consciousness. All forms of consciousness have the impulse to experience the transcendent reality. So this is the impulse that stimulates the principle of evolution. Pisces ignites the desire to return to God. Scorpio demands proof. Pisces has blind faith. The location of Pisces and Neptune in the birth chart indicates the natural way for the person to spiritualize their life. These, plus planets in the 12th house and the aspects they make, are the likely source of the types of disillusionment we will experience in our lives. The collective unconscious is content of consciousness that pertains to the entire human species. It resides within each human body. The collective conscious is the totality of all thoughts and vibrations existing at any moment in time on the conscious level. We each tune into these through our Neptune and osmose them into ourselves through Scorpio. And the impact of totality alters our perceptions and personal realities. So next slide. This is Chiron, and Chiron archetype in astrology and mythology is known as the wounded healer. And here, this picture is very beautiful. This is Chiron, and Chiron was half man, half horse, which clearly would have caused a lot of suffering. And this is Achilles, and he was being taught by Chiron. And Chiron's to do with the collective failings and flaws, disillusionment, failed ideals, inescapable wounding, bitterness and cynicism, physical and psychological damage, acceptance of mortal limits, the quest for understanding and compassion. And Chiron in Greek mythology was one of the Centaurs, the son of Titan Cronus and Philyra, an oceanoid or sea nymph. Chiron lived at the foot of Mount Pelion in Thessaly, and like other Centaurs who were violent and savage, he was famous for his wisdom and his healing and medicine, knowledge on medicine. So also I have actually looked, the Mount Pelion in Thessaly is a beautiful place. You can Google that if you want to have a look. It's really quite beautiful and peaceful and idyllic. So the next slide is other archetypes. So Jung suggested that the number of existing archetypes was not static or fixed. Instead, many different archetypes may overlap or combine at any given time. The following are just a few of the various archetypes that Jung described. The father, authority figure, stern and powerful. The mother, nurturing and comforting. The child, longing for innocence, rebirth and salvation. The wise old man, guidance, knowledge, wisdom. The hero, champion, defender and rescuer. The maiden, innocence, desire and purity. And the trickster, deceiver, liar, troublemaker. So we can see that, again, with the father, we can have the high vibration and the shadow, the lower vibration. And the same with mother, the same with child, the same with the wise old man and the hero. You know, there are two sides to everything. So high vibration, low vibration. And the next slide is the last slide. And what I do is I facilitate in resolving life's unresolved problems and collaborate with people to the resolution of their problems. I also assist in looking closely at any anxiety and fears and memories that are also complex PTSD related, which cause people to feel trapped in unwanted situations and cycles of emotional pain. And part of my work involves evolutionary astrology to assist others to understand the evolutionary intent of the soul in this lifetime. And if you want to email me, you've got my email there, penelope.rider@outlook.com. Any questions? But you can probably clearly see from this short video how the archetypes apply to astrology and that it is complex, but it's a beautiful tool to be able to understand and know ourselves. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Thank you.